Canadá está furioso y está golpeando a Donald Trump justo donde más le duele. El primer ministro de Canadá, Mark Carney, asistió a la cumbre G20, misma cumbre que Donald Trump tuvo miedo de presentarse, donde el primer ministro de Canadá y muchos otros líderes mundiales dejaron afuera a Donald Trump, más que todo fuera de la reunión de clausura, pues Donald Trump dijo: ¿será que puedo enviar en mi representación a un trabajador junior de la Casa Blanca? Por si no lo sabes, Donald Trump tenía que recibir un mazo, que es la representación de ser el presidente de la cumbre G20. En este punto, la cumbre G20, como se celebró en Sudáfrica, el presidente de Sudáfrica era el líder. Y por tradición, cuando se clausura la cumbre, el líder de ese momento le da el mazo al que va a ser líder en la próxima cumbre G20, que en este punto sería Estados Unidos, por ende Donald Trump. Y Donald Trump no quiso asistir. Y como no quiso asistir, trató de mandar a un miembro de mínimo rango, a un miembro junior. Y todos los líderes de la G20 le dijeron: no vengas, Donald. Si no quieres venir, no vengas. Pero no te vamos a dar ese mazo. Pero déjame mostrarte lo que el primer ministro Mark Carney respondió después de la cumbre G20 cuando la prensa le preguntó qué vas a hacer con Donald Trump. ¿Están hablando? ¿No están hablando? ¿Qué va a suceder? Él respondió: no estamos hablando. Yo estoy muy ocupado reconstruyendo Canadá. Él dijo que no tiene interés en llamar a Donald Trump, que no lo necesita y que está muy enfocado en cosas de Canadá. En palabras de él, Canadá está construyendo un Canadá unido, está construyendo verdaderas relaciones comerciales, haciendo énfasis en que Estados Unidos ya no es un socio confiable para Canadá.
We've had discussions. I've been busy. There's another point though. I've been busy. We passed a budget with that's going to catalyze $1 trillion of investment. We have launched new trade agreements. We've secured new investment in the country of a size not seen arguably before. So we're busy. He's got other things to do. And we'll re-engage when it's appropriate.
Y luego le pregunta nuevamente al primer ministro de Canadá, Mark Carney, sobre este tema, y él repite: miren, no tengo ninguna necesidad de levantar el teléfono y llamar urgentemente a Donald Trump. Él dice que no tiene necesidad de hacerlo, pero que cuando Donald Trump desee actuar como un adulto, él mismo puede llamarlo. Él dijo que ya no quiere responder más preguntas sobre esto y que únicamente va a aceptar preguntas sobre lo que Canadá está haciendo. Me parece una respuesta ejemplar de un líder.
I look forward to speaking to the president soon, but I don't have a burning issue to speak with the president about right now. When America wants to come back and have the discussions on the trade side, we will have those discussions. I'm going to answer a potential question here, and then I'll pass back, which is, for example, with respect to Ukraine and the 28-point plan. We are a core member of the Coalition of the Willing. You would have seen a demonstration of that yesterday with the meeting of European leaders, a core group of European leaders, the Prime Minister of Japan, ourselves, and which formed a common position. And that common position is communicated. Our national security advisors are meeting today in Geneva, including Canada's, and the common position communicated to do the additional work that's required on the peace plan there. Each of us do not need to call President Trump and communicate that position. We need to forge that position. That position's been communicated. The follow-up is being done by our national security advisors. I will be speaking with President Zelensky later today, just to close the loop on some aspects of that. Okay?
Luego el primer ministro Mark Carney expone los principios de Canadá y la pregunta fue que si él alguna vez se ve trabajando para Canadá, pero sin estar en absoluto relacionado con Estados Unidos. Y miren, la respuesta de Mark Carney fue simplemente: estamos hablando de nuestros valores. Fue una respuesta perfecta, no tuvo que nombrar a Estados Unidos. Para, en pocas palabras, decir: ya no quiero hablar de esto, no lo necesitamos, Estados Unidos no va con nosotros. Él dijo: con Europa sí compartimos el sentido de respeto, sí compartimos el afán de hacer que las personas se entiendan entre ellos, la comunidad LGTBQ+, el cambio climático, el multilateralismo, entre otros. Y básicamente está poniendo a Estados Unidos en una categoría de que es un odiador, de que no acepta lo que Canadá sí acepta. Y también terminó diciendo que puede que existan momentos en la historia que tengan que trabajar juntos, pero este no es el punto.
There's levels of engagement with countries. Our partnership with the European Union, for example, is at a level prospectively that is unmatched with other jurisdictions. Because we have similar values in terms of privacy, for example. We have similar values in terms of sustainability. We have similar values in terms of workers' rights. We have similar values, to go to the previous question, in terms of gender equality, LGBTQ rights. And all of that reflects, so the level of economic cooperation, defense cooperation, security cooperation. We have similar views about territorial integrity in Ukraine as well. So our level of cooperation with the European Union, with the United Kingdom, is on a different level than our level of cooperation with other countries. So there's that aspect. Other countries in the emerging world where there's levels of cooperation which are more in commodity-based trade, goods and everyday goods and services, but don't extend to those broader partnerships. So all relationships are not equal, they're not of equal depth, and certainly it's not the case. This is an important point. When we engage with a country, Canada engages with a country, that we're endorsing everything that country does. The two do not follow. We calibrate our relationship, but it's not an endorsement of everything that happens in the country, nor vice versa from those countries to us. What we're looking to do is to put that on a sound footing through a potential trade agreement between the two countries, which give protections to our businesses, protections to Indian businesses, clear set of rules, dispute mechanisms, and others, and build on those opportunities. So we're looking to build. I'll reference as well, and then hand back for your three-part follow-up. We're looking to build, for example, as with the trilateral technology cooperation partnership that we announced yesterday with Australia and India. And just to put that in context, India is one of the leading developers of clean technology, particularly in solar and wind. And if we're going to diversify our supply chains, this is all, it's all connected. We're going to diversify in that respect from China, which is the dominant player there. India, South Korea are two of really the two main opportunities. So that cooperation is quite valuable.
And by the way, I also think we ought to urge the administration to take up USMCA, get this trade deal done so that we can stop the tariffs, because they are not only damaging your economy, they're damaging our economy. In New Hampshire, I can quote you business after business that I visited that has told me that the tariffs that have been invoked on Canada and what's happened with the relationship has been detrimental to their business, and it's affecting our economy. So I certainly share the view that we need to address this.
All I can say is I stay in pretty regular contact with the administration on these things. I've been a little bit frustrated, as you have, by how many cooks are in that kitchen. But I do feel like it's becoming pretty clear to everybody. And by the way, if you hadn't noticed, the president has been taking down some tariffs, little by little, country by country. He is noticing the inflationary outcome of some of those specific tariffs. I happen to think that the softwood lumber, and I know Peter and I have talked somewhat about this, or Chris and I have talked somewhat about this, that's probably the most obvious next inflationary product, because it gets into home building. And everybody needs a home, and our home builders need product, and it's becoming more and more inflationary. So I'm hopeful that the combination of all of those things.
Earlier today, Senator King said that he had noticed that there had been a cultural break between Canadians and Americans. He said that Canadians now see Americans as adversaries. I'd like to ask you what you think about that, considering you border right on the Canadian.
Being aware that I'm standing right behind.
Yeah, behind is the important geographic situation. But so I think there's become a tension. I will tell you, and I've asked the ambassador this a couple of times, I will tell you that I think it's manifest largely in much less travel from Canada to the States for pleasure. In North Dakota, that happens to be shopping in the malls and staying in the hotels, buying lots of beer and groceries and other things. For Florida, it's you're going to the beach, and as it is for some of my colleagues up here. And those numbers are down because people are angry. They are bouncing back a little bit. I mean, I've talked to my tourism people in North Dakota. They're bouncing back a little bit. One thing about it, as winter comes on, I know a lot about the weather in Canada. It's a lot like North Dakota, and there's only one direction to go. And so I suspect that it probably won't keep some people from going to warmer weather. Having said that, it's such an unusual situation for us because, as Angus pointed out, I mean, and Peter, I mean, our relationship with Canadians is very, very personal, you know, in certain circumstances and in specific ways. I will say, though, at the same time, I've asked the ambassador this a couple of times. I might have even asked Prime Minister Carney. I don't quite understand why, I guess I don't offend that easily. Maybe that's the best way to put it. I don't offend that easily, so it's hard for me. It's why I'm so offensive, quite honestly, probably because I'm not sensitive. But the best way to fix this is to get back to the negotiating table and fix whatever it is that separates us on the trading table. Now, we know that of a couple of the high, softwood lumber, for example, and dairy, some of those sticking points, but there are a couple, maybe 4 dozen or more, what I'd consider small, non-tariff barrier nuisances. I just say, let's get back to that table and fix those things up. This is not a situation that can't be recovered. This is not a family breakup that's going to result in, in people hating each other. Both sides, I'm convinced, people in both countries are anxious to reunite, symbolically as well as literally. My uncle still comes down occasionally to North Dakota, and I get to see him just this last summer, in fact. So I suspect that's what Angus was speaking to, but I think I know what he's talking about, and we all sense it.
Why isn't Donald Trump coming tomorrow? Because he has a 4-year-old mentality, and he's having a tantrum. He's having a tantrum. What is the tantrum? That the rest of the world says, we don't want a king. As President Lula said, we don't need an emperor. He would come here as just one of 20 leaders, or 21. He doesn't want that. He's having a tantrum. So this rebalancing is happening. He's having a particular tantrum, by the way, because the United States is in a deeply neurotic funk. You know what the cause of that neurosis is? China. A wonderful, brilliant civilization, 4,000 years old plus. It's been a unified state with brilliant statecraft for more than 2,000 years.
For where Canada is shifting in terms of pushing back against MAGA, which is falling more and more into chaos. The tourism numbers. Every article I've read on the tourism thing talks about Canada's uncertainty with the tariff wars. No, Canadians hate Donald Trump's guts. That's what you talk to any Canadian in any coffee shop across the country, they hate his guts. They see not going to the United States as an act of patriotism. It has nothing to do with, the dollar exchange. And this is something that I think the U.S. Tourism industry is beginning to understand. They've talked about the disappearance of, if you break it down into simpler numbers or break it down further, 320,000 seats that would have had passengers gone, billions now gone, and it's not coming back. This is the month where the snowbirds, this is where the seniors go to Florida, they go to Arizona, Quebec, huge exodus usually from Quebec goes down. They're not going. And you're seeing across the board, this isn't just one region of Canada standing up. This is Canadians everywhere. Again, from Quebec out to the West Coast, to the Maritimes, saying, we aren't going. And then where's the money going? Well, Air France, KLM Air France, which was, I guess, in a lot of financial difficulty, are saying they've got a 30% increase thanks to Canadian travel to Europe and European travel coming to Canada. So there's that. The whole world watched you and your grotesque Great Gatsby gathering with all these barely clad young women and creepy old men at the Mar-a-Lago Roach Motel where you live, and thought, this man doesn't care about his own people as people's food supports are being cut off. He doesn't care about his veterans. He doesn't care about anything except himself. And we look at you, Donald, and we see a diminished man. You're not a leader. Come on, Donald. You're just a creepy grifter. And you think that you could push us around? It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen, Donald. So we expect that you are going to start to do more erratic things as your numbers start to fall and more people turn against you. We expect that you will probably try and make us more of your enemy in order to divert attention from your own disgraceful and disgusting behavior. But whatever you do, Donald, Canada's moving on. Canada is looking at this in the long term. We're willing to suck up across party lines, across many different parts of our ideological spectrum, to put Canada first and do the right thing. So again, as Winston Churchill said to Hitler, you do your worst, sir. We expect it, but we will do our best, and we will always do our best.
Well, let's talk critical minerals. The entire United States economy, I mean, the Silicon Valley economy, the economy that you need to build a 21st century economy is based on access to the critical minerals. Donald Trump announced that copper from Canada represented a national security threat. I mean, this cutting off and attacking the Canadian copper supply, he's not going to make America great in copper again, because it takes 15 to 20 years to get an American copper mine into production. Where Canada will send that copper, we're sending a lot of it right now to Asia. We've had very toxic relations with China. China controls the critical minerals market. They control the rare earths market. Canada is one of the few countries that can supply a number of these metals to either the United States or Europe. If we sign up with China, the Chinese economy is going to continue to grow. And what it will mean is that there will be a gate that China can close on the United States anytime they want in terms of access to the metals that are needed to run the whole Silicon Valley project. All of the American economic prospects are tied up in these metals. Canada has them, China has them. And with the increasingly belligerent behavior and insults that we're seeing and threat that's coming, it's not from Trump. It hasn't lessened, it's increased in many ways. So for us to start talking about this trade with China will have an enormous impact in the geopolitical world in the years to come.
Pero bueno, amigos, llegamos al final del video y te quiero dejar con un mensaje que, más que un mensaje, es una recomendación que te he dejado en varios videos atrás. Mira, Estados Unidos es un país que está sufriendo una crisis, diría dos incluso, una recesión económica y una estanflación. La recesión todos sabemos lo que es, ya lo ha vivido Estados Unidos incluso, es una abominación en contra de la economía de un país y contra la estabilidad de las personas. Estabilidad económica. Pero una estanflación es algo difícil que ocurra. Una estanflación es cuando una economía tiene mucha inflación y mucho desempleo. O sea, en otras palabras, cuando una economía o un país tiene precios muy altos y poco dinero, poco ingreso de dinero a las personas. Eso va de la mano con el desempleo. ¿Y qué pasa cuando existe una estanflación en un país? Cuando esto pasa en un país, las personas sencillamente no pueden tener dinero ni siquiera para comer, o tienen que elegir, o tienen para pagar la hipoteca o la renta o la comida. ¿Y qué hacen las personas? Pues bueno, como no tienen dinero, no tienen trabajo o no les alcanza con el dinero que tienen, piden préstamos al banco. Ahora, ¿cuál es mi recomendación? Si tú estás viendo esto y tienes la bendición, porque como siempre te digo, sí es una bendición tener un trabajo, yo te recomendaría que trates de ahorrar lo más que puedas. Gasta en lo básico y ahorra el resto. Esto por meses. Gasta en lo básico, ahorra el resto. Se viene Navidad. Yo entiendo que hay regalos, hay gastos, hay comidas, hay cenas. Perfecto. Busca ahorrar lo más que puedas. Son épocas muy difíciles, van a ser épocas peores. Recuerda que todo esto ha pasado gracias a las políticas presupuestarias de Donald Trump, las políticas arancelarias de Donald Trump y estas guerras comerciales inútiles que ha tenido. Así que si esto ha pasado en casi 11 meses que lleva como presidente, imagínate qué va a pasar en los 3 años y un mes que le quedan. Exacto. puede destruir el país. Así que lo que tú tienes que hacer es prepararte. Guarda todo lo que puedas, en el banco y en efectivo. ¿Por qué en el banco y en efectivo? Como te dije hace un ratito, la gente cuando ya no tiene, ¿qué hace? Préstamos al banco, préstamos al banco. El banco tiene una cantidad de dinero increíble, pero recuerda que todo ese dinero lo tiene en gran mayoría, un 90% depende del banco, prestado, lo tiene en hipotecas, lo tiene en tantas cosas, en inversiones. O sea que el banco no puede decir, aquí tengo todo el efectivo y lo voy a entregar. No. Si pasa esto de que la gente se desespera y comienza a sacar todo el dinero que pueda del banco, ¿qué va a pasar? El banco va a tener que cerrar sus puertas o pedirle al Estado que lo ayude. Pero con un Estado que está en recesión y en estanflación, no van a poder salvarlo. Así que únicamente el banco va a tener que cerrar sus puertas indefinidamente. ¿Qué va a pasar? Si tú tienes dinero en efectivo, que de verdad guarda en efectivo, al menos para sobrevivir en efectivo 2 meses, que un banco no puede estar cerrado más de 2 meses. Puedes sobrevivir, al menos pagar tu renta, pagar comida, medicina en el caso de que necesites, bebida y no perder la vida por cosas innecesarias. Porque sí, me dirás loco, pero puedes ver la historia en 1929, lo que pasó con la gran recesión. Puedes ver lo que pasó en el 2008 con la explosión de la burbuja inmobiliaria. Cuando hay crisis económica, las personas pueden incluso perder la vida por la incapacidad de poder obtener alimentos. Así que créeme, este consejo ni siquiera viene de mí como economista, no viene de mí como asesor financiero, viene de mí como alguien que ya vio lo que puede suceder cuando hay crisis económicas. Te advierto que puedes evitarlo con un poco de ahorro, si es que tienes la posibilidad, claro. Y bueno, muchas gracias por ver el video hasta el final, de verdad lo aprecio muchísimo. Y como siempre te digo, si te gusta el contenido de política estadounidense, te gusta saber lo que está pasando realmente en el país, te va a encantar suscribirte al canal. Mi nombre es José Alvarado, soy economista y estoy comprometido a informarte diariamente. Nos vemos en el siguiente video. Adiós.